So, a lot of your fans have this image of the person you really are in their heads by now. Obviously, those opinions come from your music and how you portray yourself. You've even gotten a lot of praise as well. But tell me, do you ever feel like your fans deserve to know the real you?
You know, I feel like a lot of my fans, they know how to separate the music from the artist. You feel me? Like, I ain't gonna lie, my life ain't perfect. It's not how it sounds in my music, that's for sure. And I'll never, go up to a nigga and, try to put that face up and put that act up because I know that ain't really who I am. That's just the entertainment that, I provide to the people who listen, the people who, I feed with my music, the people who really been through my journey since I dropped Lie to Me, if I'm being honest.
What does the real you even look like?
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna even do too much. I feel like, if you know me and you know the music I drop and you listen to the music I drop, I sound like a G. You feel me? Like, I sound like, the biggest gangster on the street. I sound like, the biggest nigga in the world. Like you said, I even got praise for it. People calling me, the realest in the Cape. People calling me, the best artist, you feel me? Song of the year. I got comments. But I feel like in reality, I go through the same shit a normal teenager does, you know. I feel like a lot of people don't know that I'm really still young as hell, you know. I'm still in that stage where, I don't even know who the fuck I am for real. And, I go through my own shit. I go through my own insecurities. I go through my own addictions. I go through my own self-doubt. I go through my own self images, self hatred, you know what I'm saying? My own struggles, my own losses. So I feel like that's how you gotta differentiate between who I am in my music and who I really am. Cause in reality, a nigga going through some shit. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm going through some real stuff that, like, a teenager go through, It's not as deeper than what it sounds like, you feel me? So, yeah.
You're very mature, I must say. Tell me, how's your relationships been over time? I'm not talking about your current one. I mean, like past relationships. How do they affect you now?
Um, Past relationships is a really hard topic for me to talk about for real. Cause I feel like a lot of my relationships left me not depressed, not heartbroken, but I feel like it left me in self-reflection. Cause a lot of the relationships I've been with, I was always the problem. Um, I always did shit. I always did something to hurt the other person. Um, I always did something that I wasn't supposed to. I always, when it comes to cheating, manipulation, neglect, objectifying, narcissistic, I was always that type of person. If you're not playing by my rules, then you're not a proper girlfriend. I'm that type of person. So, it left me in a lot of self-reflection because I had to look at what the fuck I'm doing to these people. And at the end of the day, I feel like God put me in a position where I felt like I got karma because He put me in the same position I put these women, you know? He put me in a position to feel how I made these women feel, He put me in that position to understand the hurt that these different women go through when I do shit like this. So when I went through that, I really sat back and I thought to myself, because I first asked him, I asked like, "Yo, God, what you doing? Why am I going through so much shit? I used to be the biggest. I used to get all the girls. What the fuck is going on now? You know. And then when I sat back and reflected, I realized, the shit people was doing to me was the same shit I was doing to other women back then when I was with them. And the shit I was feeling now is the same way I made those women feel. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a whole rotation of self-reflection. It was a point where I had to look myself in the mirror and say, you know what? I gotta change for real because this this what I'm doing is not doing any good. It's hurting people. You know what I'm saying? And I never been the type to hurt people intentionally. I don't feel like it's ever been my goal. But the way I've been treating these women is like, God had to show me because he knew I could change. So he had to show me what the fuck I was doing before you could expect me to change. And eventually I went through the cycle where, I realized I gotta stop what I'm doing. I gotta start being, if I want to be a boyfriend, I gotta start acting like a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? I can't break woman's heart and then play the victim, go make a song about, this bitch breaking my heart. But in reality, I was the one who was doing some shit to her that hurt her. So yeah.
And you believe in God, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I was raised in a household where everyone else around it believed in God. So there was no other choice for real, if I'm being honest. Everybody went to church, everyone was praying, everyone talked about God. So obviously when you around that type of influence, it's just something that clicks to you. You know what I'm saying?
And how's your relationship with God?
Um, you know, I don't want to say I'm the biggest, believer. I'm a very sinful person, and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge I fall into a lot of lust. I fall into a lot of temptation. I fall into a lot of, I go against a lot of the commandments of the Bible. I don't, I don't got that close relationship for real. Like I said just before this, like I talk to God for sure. I talk to Him, but like, I acknowledge that I'm not the perfect person. You know what I'm saying? I know I indulge in very sinful things. Whether it's disrespecting my mom or my mama, whether it's disrespecting the elder people, whether it's, looking over people that have less than me. I'm that type of person. So when you talk about my relationship with God, I won't say it's that strong because at the end of the day, I don't repent for my sins, you know. Because I'm a type of person, I already know it. I'm not going to repent for my sins because I know the next day I'm going to do it again. And I know I ain't never been that disrespectful towards God to, to repent for my sins and then go do it again the next day because I know that, like I said, I'm not that type of person to disrespect God that way. I'm not the type of person to speak bad upon God as well. Not the type to speak blasphemy over the Bible. I'm sorry about that. So, it's not a strong relationship, but at the end of the day, I know God exists. I know He made me. I know He made everyone else. I know He controls the world. He's the reason we got light. He's the reason I eat every day. He's the reason I wake up. He's the reason I can sleep in a comfortable bed with a roof over my head. He's the reason I'm breathing. He's the reason I got the talent to even make music in the first place. He's the reason I got a good family. So yeah, it's not that strong, but in God, we know what's going on. You looking from the outside might not see it, but I got my understanding with God, and God got His understanding with me. You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't understand myself, God understand me, and that's all that matters for real.
So, does that ever make you feel like the following of God was forced upon you?
Like I said before, I grew up in a family where it was like, everybody else believe in God, so I'm gonna believe in God. That's just how it is. You fall for family influences. That's just how we move. But I wouldn't say it was forced upon me for sure, because at the end of the day, we all got a choice, and I chose to believe alongside my family. It was a choice I made. I could have left it alone, and there was times for sure. I used to get 2 hour, 3 hour lectures after I said some disrespectful shit. Where it was like, when I was younger, I used to be at my grandma's house and I tell her, what, I don't believe in God. But then, my uncle, he would sit me down. He would make me understand that, like, God is who He say He is. He's everything. God, literally, Yahweh means I am, so He is everything. So, from that point, I got an understanding, and as I grew older, I looked more into the understanding I have of who God is and what He did and what He created. You know what I'm saying? So it was never forced upon me, but it was there, and I chose to understand it, and they made me understand it. That's what it is.
And do you go to church now?
I used to go to church with my dad before he passed away. Actually, before that, when I was younger, I used to go to church with my mom. And then I used to go to church with my dad, me and my brother. We used to go to church. And then after he passed away, I feel like I just left it alone because, I had no one waking me up early in the morning telling me, yo, it's time to go to church. I had nobody, blasting gospel music around me, and all that shit. So when he died, I feel like I just left church alone because at the end of the day, I didn't understand church. And I feel like I'm not going to make an effort to try and understand church because I don't want to be led in the wrong direction. Because I know not a lot of the pastors are who they say they are. Not a lot of the pastors speak the right shit. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to involve myself with something I barely even have interest in, if I'm being honest. But like, I barely want to involve myself with something I don't know about. I leave that to the adults because they know. They've been doing this shit since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I leave that to them because they understand what they're doing. They understand where they're going. They understand where they belong. I don't know that yet. So I won't try to fit into a church. I won't try to fit into a religious group because, I don't want to be the type of person to force myself into that interest when I know for sure that it's probably going to lead me in a direction I don't want to be in. And I don't want to force myself to build a relationship with God because I feel like the ones you force yourself is going to be like, it's not going to be genuine. And I want to be more genuine. I want to be honest with God because He can see everything. So I don't want to lie to Him. I don't want to be like, yo, God, I'm gonna change, but then I'm gonna do the same shit. He know I'm gonna do the same shit. So I want to build an honest relationship with God. I want Him to know everything I do. I want to tell Him everything. I don't want to be in a position where I force myself and then in secret I'm gonna do some sinful things. I don't want to do that. On the stick to having an honest relationship with God. Even if my way of living leads me to hell, as long as I know I didn't lie to God. I didn't tell him some shit and then went to go do the opposite the next day.
Okay, then. Last question. Is there anything you're going through now that nobody really knows?
Um, you know, um, it's kind of hard for me. I feel like recently I've been going through, the, the whole me versus me era, because like I said earlier, I'm trying to find out who I am. And I feel like I went through a lot of stages in my life, for sure, that shaped me into a lot of different people. I really would say I'm a different person every year. If you really look at me, I'm a different person every year. Every year I change. Every year I'm a new person. There's a side of me that I tried to kill off, like, a long time ago. A side of me that, like, I'm not trying to show the world no more. Because I feel like this side of me is the type of side of me that um, gets me hurt. I trust people too easily. It's very open tells everyone his feelings. Um, and I don't want to be that type of person because, like I said, it gets me hurt a lot. I get hurt by a lot of people. A lot of people that I love and trust that hurt me. So I don't wanna, I don't wanna be that type of person anymore. And I thought that I buried that side of me a while ago, but I think it's coming back.